All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a really unique way of looking at life's struggles, everything from money troubles to some truly strange, unexplainable events. It all comes from an author who goes by Message from One, and they offer a spiritual lens for experiences that might otherwise just seem, well, chaotic or maybe even scary. And this quote right here, it really sets the stage for everything. The author is talking about this massive shift in how they see the world, moving away from believing that people were causing their problems to embracing a spiritual explanation instead. This whole idea is the key to understanding everything we're about to go through. So, how does this whole journey work? Well, according to the source, it's broken down into 3 stages, or classes. The very first one is called the awakening, and it kicks off with challenges that, honestly, probably sound pretty familiar to a lot of us. Now, the signs of this first stage. You might be thinking, hey, that sounds like my life. We're talking about intense stress, money problems, maybe feeling drawn to distractions. Most of us would just call that a rough patch, but in this framework, these aren't just random bumps in the road. The author suggests these are actually signs that your soul is starting to shake off old, heavy energy. And that's the big twist for this first stage, right? The key isn't the hardship itself. It's how you interpret it. What feels like a major problem is actually being framed as the universe's first wake-up call, an invitation to stop looking for answers out there and to start looking inside yourself. Okay, so once you start doing that inner work, the author says the journey starts to move outward. You enter the second stage, growing sensitivity. And this is where things start to get, well, a lot more unusual, because you're supposedly becoming more tuned in to higher energies. And this is where things get a little strange. We're talking about feeling like you're walking around in a dream, your phone or computer glitching out whenever you're near, or lights flickering when you walk into a room. These are presented as actual proof that your own personal energy is getting stronger and is starting to have a direct impact on the world around you. And that brings us to a really key idea in this whole framework, synchronicity. It's not just a, hey, what a coincidence moment. We're talking about the uncanny experience of people around you saying the exact thing you were just thinking. The author suggests this is a sign that the line between you and the universe is actually starting to blur. All right, so this leads us to the final and by far the most intense stage, Class 3, which is called nearing enlightenment. The idea here is that you've become a sort of beacon of light, and because of that, you have to face the journey's most difficult and frankly most bizarre challenges yet. And this slide, this is really the absolute core of the whole thing. For the most extreme events, the author lays out 2 completely different ways to look at them. On one hand, you have an explanation rooted in targeted harassment. But on the other hand, you have this spiritual framing. So what one person might call stalking is reframed as people crossing your path for a reason. What seems like a burglary is actually a lesson in letting things go. This duality is everything. So what does this street theater actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, the author gives some pretty wild examples. Things like strangers messing with your shopping cart, people cutting you in line while saying things that are weirdly specific to your private life. You get this constant feeling of being watched, followed, or even filmed. And again, the question this framework asks is this a coordinated harassment campaign, or is it an orchestrated spiritual test? And you see this same exact pattern when it comes to things that feel like straight-up sabotage or just bad luck. According to the author, every single disruptive event has a spiritual lesson attached. So your favorite watch vanishes? That's a lesson in detachment. Your shoes get ruined? You're shedding old layers of yourself. Computer files get deleted? Maybe that's a nudge to not rely so much on technology. And it's not just stuff happening around you. The author says the journey becomes super sensory. It's described as a progression. First, you might start hearing things nobody else does, knocking, whispers. Then you see flashes of light out of the corner of your eye. Then it becomes physical, like severe ringing in your ears or even feeling like you have an electric current running through your body. All of these are seen as signs of major energy shifts. You know, you'd think sleep would be an escape, right? Nope. According to the author, even your sleep gets pulled into this.
We're talking about serious disruptions, from being unable to move, which is sleep paralysis, to having dreams that feel so real you can't tell them apart from reality. In this framework, it's not a disorder. It's your soul being incredibly active, doing work while your body is at rest.
Okay, so after hearing about all of this, I mean, it's intense, it's distressing. You have to be asking, why? What on earth is the point of all this? Well, the author shifts gears to answer that very question, but does it by posing a series of questions back to the reader. The first big reason? It all comes back to this one question. The idea is that the purpose of all this struggle is to force you into a profound personal change, to finally, once and for all, let go of the old habits and beliefs that have been holding you back. But it's not just about cleaning up your own act. The next question suggests there's something bigger at play. It introduces this idea of spiritual evolution, that maybe all these trials are actually preparing your soul to operate on a whole new level, a higher state of being. And the last piece of the puzzle, the one that really gives all the suffering a purpose, is this: the idea that you might be a light worker. This suggests that you're not just going through this for yourself, but that your journey is meant to somehow help guide or inspire other people down the line. So when you put it all together, the author's message is crystal clear. As this quote says, none of this is random noise. Every weird, confusing, or painful thing that happens is part of a guided process. It's a direct call from the universe to wake up and figure out who you really are. And that's what I want to leave you with. You know, no matter what you believe about these specific claims, this entire journey raises a really fascinating question for all of us. At what point do we take all the messy, random data of our own lives and build it into a story, a framework that gives it all meaning?